criminology student, someone studying the very art of catching criminals, became one of the most calculated offenders in recent American history. What if I told you that on a quiet November night in 2022, four bright, beautiful college students went to sleep in their beds and never woke up, and the person responsible had been watching them for months? This is the story of Bryan Kohberger, a case that gripped the nation, left families shattered, and raised questions that may never be fully answered. Before we dive deep into this haunting case, if you're passionate about true crime and want to stay updated on cases like these with thorough, respectful, and fact-based coverage, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for Dark Trail Files. We don't just report on cases. We honor victims, examine evidence, and pursue truth with every video. Join our community of truth seekers. Now, let's uncover what happened in Moscow, Idaho. November 13th, 2022, started like any other Sunday for the residents of 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. The house was home to 6 college students, young people with dreams, ambitions, and their entire lives ahead of them. 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves, a senior with an infectious smile, was just months away from graduating. She had already secured a job in Austin, Texas, and was planning to move there with her best friend and roommate, 21-year-old Madison Mogen. The two were inseparable, their friendship a testament to the bonds formed during the college years. 20-year-old Xana Kernodle was a junior, known for her kindness and warm personality. That night, her boyfriend, 20-year-old Ethan Chapin, was staying over. Ethan was a freshman, a young man described as lighthearted with a goofy presence that made everyone around him smile. He stood 6'4", but rarely took things too seriously. These 4 beautiful souls had their whole lives ahead of them. They had families who loved them, friends who cherished them, and futures filled with endless possibilities. 2 other roommates were also in the house that night, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. They would survive, but what they experienced would haunt them forever. The previous day had been perfectly ordinary. The roommates went to Taco Bell together, took afternoon naps, and later attended parties around the small college town. Kaylee and Madison went to a local bar called the Corner Club, while Xana and Ethan attended a party at the Sigma Chi fraternity house. By early morning, everyone had returned home. It should have been the end of another typical college weekend. But someone had been watching, someone had been planning, and that someone was about to turn this ordinary night into a nightmare. When the sun rose on November 13th, the house on King Road remained eerily quiet. By noon, concern began to mount. One of the surviving roommates called friends, asking them to come over because something didn't feel right in the house. When friends arrived and entered the home, they discovered a scene so horrific that it would traumatize an entire community. The panic in the voices, the confusion, the horror. This call marked the moment when a quiet college town's worst nightmare became reality. What you're about to hear captures those first desperate moments when friends realized something was terribly, irreversibly wrong.
13, 2022. 911 location of your emergency.
Something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the light, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah.
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, but we gotta go check. But we have to. Is he passed out? What's wrong? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you. What's wrong?
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20 years old.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Hey, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
Just talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. They need you to talk to them.
Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again? There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have it. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Okay.
11:59 a.m.
For young people have been attacked in their beds, their lives stolen in the most violent way imaginable. The brutality of the attack was staggering. These weren't random acts of violence, but calculated, deliberate attacks carried out with a large knife. Kaylee and Madison had been attacked on the 3rd floor of the home. Xana and Ethan were found on the 2nd floor. All 4 had been stabbed multiple times. The scene was so devastating that some victims were initially unrecognizable. Their faces so badly harmed that officers struggled to comprehend the extent of their injuries. Moscow, Idaho, is a small university town of approximately 25,000 people. Before November 13th, 2022, the city hadn't seen a homicide in about 5 years. The police department was not equipped for an investigation of this magnitude. The case immediately drew national attention, and law enforcement agencies from across the region joined the effort. Investigators faced an enormous challenge. There was no immediate suspect, no apparent motive, and no murder weapon recovered from the scene. But there was evidence. A tan leather knife sheath was found on the bed next to Madison's body. The sheath was designed for a K-bar-style knife, a military-grade weapon that investigators believed was used in the attacks. On that sheath, forensic experts discovered a single source of male DNA on the button snap. This would become one of the most crucial pieces of evidence in the entire investigation. Investigators also began collecting surveillance footage from around the neighborhood and noticed something significant. A white sedan, later identified as a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra, was spotted in the area multiple times in the hours leading up to and following the attacks. The vehicle appeared to be circling the neighborhood, making several passes by the house on King Road. This car would become the key to unlocking the identity of the person responsible. As days turned into weeks, the community lived in fear. Students left the university. Parents pulled their children from school. The town that once felt safe now felt like a hunting ground, and no one knew if the perpetrator would strike again. By late December 2022, investigators had made significant progress. Cell phone data revealed that a phone believed to belong to the suspect had pinged cell towers near 1122 King Road at least 23 times between June and November 2022. This wasn't someone who stumbled upon the house by chance. This was someone who had been surveilling the location for months, studying patterns, learning routines, planning. The white Hyundai Elantra became the breakthrough. Washington State University, located just 8 miles from Moscow in Pullman, Washington, had a vehicle registered matching that description. It belonged to Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old doctoral student in the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology. The irony was not lost on investigators. The person they were hunting was studying how to catch criminals. Authorities obtained Kohberger's DNA through an unconventional method. They collected trash from outside his family's home in Pennsylvania, where he had traveled for the holiday break. The DNA from that trash was compared to the DNA found on the knife sheath, and forensic genealogy confirmed a match. Bryan Kohberger's DNA was on the sheath of the murder weapon left at the scene. On December 30th, 2022, more than 6 weeks after the murders, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. The nation watched as the criminology student was taken into custody. The arrest brought some relief, but it also raised countless questions. Who was Bryan Kohberger? What could have motivated such a horrific act? And how did he carry out these murders seemingly by himself? Bryan Kohberger grew up in Pennsylvania and showed early interest in criminal justice. Friends and acquaintances described him as intelligent, but also noted troubling behaviors. According to newly released documents, Kohberger exhibited concerning behavior toward female students at Washington State University. One student reported seeing photos of herself and her friends on Kohberger's phone. She stated that she had never spoken to Kohberger, but that he sat near her in a class where he was a teaching assistant. The photos appeared to have been taken from her public Instagram account. A former friend of Kohberger's described him as intelligent but also selfish. Another acquaintance reported noticing scratch marks on Kohberger's face and wounds on his knuckles on separate occasions in October and November 2022. When asked about the injuries, Kohberger claimed he had been in a car accident. We now know those injuries likely came from a struggle during the attacks. Kohberger had few social connections. Digital forensic analysis of his phone revealed he had fewer than 20 contacts saved. Some were labeled simply as girl I ran with or second girl I ran with, and one contact was marked as hair. His mother and father were listed, along with his sister and just a few others. This portrait of isolation paints a picture of someone disconnected from normal social bonds. Before the murders, Kohberger had several minor encounters with local police. These routine traffic stops, captured on body cam, now take on an eerie significance. Officers had no idea they were looking at someone who would soon commit one of the most horrific crimes in Idaho history. This footage shows how easily he blended in, how normal he appeared to those who crossed his path.
I am Officer Loangus. Stops being audio and video recorded. I think you know why I stopped you. You were in the red light.
What actually happened was I was stuck in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah,
so I
was behind you the whole time. Yeah. So technically you're not supposed to enter the intersection at all for that reason, because if the light turns red, then you're stuck in the intersection, and then you're on the red light. So that's the reason I stopped you. Do you have your license on you?
Yep. We just get this for you out.
You what?
I'm just going to get this out for you.
Okay.
Would you explain that to me a little bit further? So in Pennsylvania, when you're stuck in the intersection, you have to make the left. So what would the appropriate thing for me to have done?
You're not supposed to block an intersection like that in Washington, so just by you blocking the intersection, that's technically a ticketable violation, and then you're running a red light, so it's another ticketable offense. So you're not supposed to proceed into the intersection until you can go, because a lot of people do what you just did, right? Is like you're sitting in the intersection waiting, and then turns, and then you're blocking, so.
Yeah, there was a little bit of confusion with speeding because someone had stopped. I wasn't sure what they were doing, and then they put on their light to turn. So I thought that maybe they were letting me go through.
Oh.
Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, like right before I made the turn, there was someone who made a right. They didn't have their signal on, so I wasn't sure if they were just waiting.
Yeah, so I would just advise just don't enter the intersection until you can go so you don't get stuck. Let's see.
But in that situation, the best thing to do then would be back up. And not...
I don't know if there's a best thing to do in that situation, because you're either going to back up into somebody or you're going to run a red light. So, or you're going to be sitting in an intersection. There's not really a great option there.
Yeah, I was just sliding into the crosswalk, so... Yeah, where I'm from Pennsylvania, we actually don't have, like, crosswalks.
Oh,
so even if you're kind of slightly... there's a little bit more leeway as well. Like, there are a few lines. Like, there's one white line and there's another one in front. Like, there's like a certain margin from which you can actually kind of put your vehicle, place your vehicle.
Yeah. So I know laws vary state to state, but there is a law in Washington for blocking an intersection like that, proceeding through, and you don't when you're just stalling. I forget the actual verbiage. I can find it for you, but it's like stalling, blocking an intersection.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the law. I don't mean to.
Oh no, yeah, I can find it for you. Yeah. One second. That looks good on a Hyundai. I don't see Pennsylvania registration like at all. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm not writing a ticket or anything like that today. I understand you're from Pennsylvania, but in the future, don't proceed through the intersection. You can't get stopped for that alone unless you can clear it right away. Okay. So
that basically, I understand.
You're just supposed to wait behind the white line. Drivers do it all the time, but
it never even occurred to me that was actually something wrong, but well, except for the fact that I was blocking the crosswalk, which is what I went through. And
states vary a lot from laws. Like Pennsylvania might not even have that law, but in Washington we do.
I'm actually just from a very rural area, so we just don't have crosswalks.
Oh.
Unless I visit an area where there are crosswalks, and then it's not very frequent.
Yeah.
I do apologize if I was asking you too many questions about the law. I wasn't trying to No,
not at all. Like, I understand you're not from here, so if you don't, a lot of people don't know a bunch of laws. Like, I only know it because this is what I do, but if you're ever curious on any more laws, just RCW, and they can be hard to read because it's in like legal language, but hope that helps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hello. How y'all doing? Good. Take your driver's license real quick if I could. See, he's right up on the van, man. He's right up on the back of that van. Over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay. Cool. Where you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU. And we're standing.
What's WSU?
University, basically. That is SWAT team area.
So I'm having a hard time hearing because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University, and you're going there?
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're trying to drive hours.
Hours, days.
Drive.
Okay.
Yet despite these red flags, Kohberger managed to gain admission to a doctoral program and functioned in academic settings. Professors at Washington State University later expressed feelings of responsibility, wondering if they could have seen the warning signs. One professor told investigators that he felt they were responsible because they made the decision to admit Kohberger to the university. Prosecutors later revealed a detailed timeline of Kohberger's activities that night. Cell phone data showed that his phone was turned off at approximately 2:47 a.m. on November 13th, 2022, a clear attempt to avoid detection. Surveillance footage tracked his white Hyundai Elantra as it traveled from Pullman, Washington, toward Moscow, Idaho. The car was seen circling the neighborhood around 1122 King Road multiple times between approximately 3:29 and 4:20 a.m. At approximately 4:04 a.m., Kohberger's vehicle was captured on surveillance entering the area for the final time. He parked behind the house and entered through a sliding glass door. Once inside, he made his way to the third floor, where Kaylee and Madison were sleeping in the same bed. Prosecutors indicated that both young women were attacked in that bedroom. Here's where the timeline becomes even more chilling. After attacking Kaylee and Madison, Kohberger made his way back downstairs. On the second floor, he encountered Xana Kernodle in the hallway. Prosecutors suggested that Kohberger may not have initially intended to attack Xana, but ended up taking her life after the encounter. Ethan Chapin, who was asleep in Xana's bedroom, was also attacked. Dylan Mortensen, one of the surviving roommates, was awake during the attacks. She later told investigators that she heard sounds she initially thought were from Kaylee playing with her dog. She heard what she believed was crying and a male voice saying something like, "It's okay. I'm going to help you." Mortensen opened her bedroom door and saw a figure dressed in black clothing wearing a mask. The person had bushy eyebrows. The masked figure walked past her toward the sliding glass door and exited the house. Why didn't Kohberger attack Dylan? This question has haunted investigators and the public. Some theories suggest he was exhausted from the previous attacks. Others believe he may have felt he had been in the house too long and needed to leave. Perhaps he didn't see her as a threat. Only Kohberger knows the answer, and he has chosen to remain silent. Surveillance footage captured Kohberger's white Elantra leaving the area at approximately 4:20 a.m., driving at a high rate of speed. Just hours later, he was captured on surveillance attempting to enter a Costco without a membership card. He was turned away by the greeter. He then went to an Albertsons supermarket, where surveillance cameras captured him shopping at a self-checkout. True crime analysts noted how casual Kohberger appeared in the footage, saying there's no way anyone around him could have known that just 8 hours earlier, he had taken 4 lives. Kohberger appeared to be concealing his left hand, likely hiding injuries sustained during the attacks. After his arrest, Kohberger was extradited from Pennsylvania to Idaho. The legal proceedings that followed would span more than 2 years and be marked by delays, disputes over evidence, and intense media scrutiny. Initially, Kohberger remained silent during his arraignment in May 2023, refusing to enter a plea. The court entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. The world watched as the accused killer appeared in court for the first time. His demeanor, his appearance, the way he carried himself, every detail was scrutinized. This footage captures one of the earliest moments when the public got to see the man accused of such heinous crimes face the justice system.
Oh, we got him. We took care of it. You guys.
$50,000 fine or both. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 2 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Bryan C. Kohberger, on or about November 13, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogen, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogen, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. The maximum penalty for this offense, if you were to plead guilty or be found guilty, is death or imprisonment for life.
Kohberger's defense team argued multiple motions, including attempts to have the death penalty removed from consideration. They challenged the DNA evidence and suggested that others could have committed the crimes. Prosecutors maintained they had overwhelming evidence. The case became what one family member described as a hamster wheel of motions, hearings, and delayed decisions. The trial was originally scheduled for October 2023, then moved to summer 2024, and eventually set for August 2025. The venue was changed from Latah County to Boise, Idaho's state capital, due to concerns about finding an impartial jury in the small community where the crimes occurred. Then, in late June 2025, just weeks before the trial was scheduled to begin, shocking news emerged. Bryan Kohberger had agreed to a plea deal. He would plead guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary in exchange for prosecutors agreeing not to seek the death penalty. Instead, he would face 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 10 years for the burglary charge. The announcement sent shockwaves through the victims' families, who were informed via email on a Sunday night. The Goncalves family expressed fury at the state of Idaho, calling the timing shocking and cruel. Kaylee's father, Steve Goncalves, told media outlets that they felt let down. The family had wanted the death penalty pursued and felt robbed of the answers they deserved. Other families had different reactions. Madison Mogen's family released a statement thanking prosecutors and expressing belief that the plea deal was the best outcome possible. They acknowledged losing their kind, loving, vivacious, and caring daughter and asked for respect for their decision to support the agreement. The Goncalves family made a desperate request. They asked prosecutors to amend the deal to require a full confession from Kohberger and disclosure of the location of the murder weapon, which has never been recovered. Prosecutors explained that once a plea deal is accepted by the defendant, it cannot ethically be changed. On July 2nd, 2025, Bryan Kohberger appeared in court wearing civilian clothes, a button-down shirt, tie, and khakis. He greeted his defense team and parents with a wide smile before taking his seat. When the hearing began, the judge asked Kohberger how he pleaded to each count of murder, naming each victim individually. The sound of their names cut through the courtroom, prompting tears from their families. Kohberger quickly responded guilty each time, showing no emotion. When asked if he was thinking clearly, Kohberger responded yes. When asked if he was promised anything in exchange for the plea, he responded no. When asked if he was pleading guilty because he is guilty, Kohberger responded yes. Prosecutors then presented a summary of the evidence the state had planned to present at trial. This was the most detailed public accounting of the case to date. They revealed that Kohberger's cell phone had pinged towers near the victim's home 23 times between June and November 2022. They explained how DNA evidence, digital forensics, and surveillance footage all pointed to Kohberger. They described how Kohberger entered the home through a sliding door and carried out the attacks. Still, there was no explanation of why. No motive was revealed. No insight into what drove a criminology student to commit such horrific acts against people he had no known connection to. Sentencing was scheduled for July 23, 2025. Since Kohberger no longer had the presumption of innocence, he was required to appear in orange jail attire rather than civilian clothes. When Olivia Goncalves, Kaylee's sister, stood to speak, the courtroom fell silent. Her words were powerful, unflinching, and filled with the raw pain of a family torn apart. This statement represents the voice of a family that will never be whole again, addressing the person who stole their daughter, their sister, their light.
Hello, I'd like to start by thanking the court for allowing me the time and opportunity to speak today. My name is Olivia, and I am the big sister of Kaylee Goncalves, and I was blessed to love Madison Mogen as a sister too. I'm not here today to speak in grief, I'm here to speak in truth. Because the truth is, my sister Kaylee and her best friend Maddie were not yours to take. They were not yours to study, to stalk, or to silence. They were two pieces of a whole, the perfect yin and yang. They are everything that you could never be. Loved, accepted, vibrant, accomplished, brave, and powerful. Because the truth about Kaylee and Maddie is they would have been kind to you. If you had approached them in their everyday lives, they would have given you directions, thanked you for the compliment, or awkwardly giggled to make your own words less uncomfortable for you. In a world that rejected you, they would have shown mercy. Because the truth is, I'm angry. Every day I'm angry. I'm left shouting at the inside of my own head everything I wish I could say to you. The truth about me is when I heard the news, I didn't cry. I listened for them. I promised them I would, that I would fight for them, that I would show up no matter what it cost me. I swore I'd never let them feel alone. Because you see, I've always been their heavyweight. I've always been the one to fight the battles they didn't feel ready to fight themselves. All it ever took was a call, and they knew I would handle it for them, no matter the time, no matter the cost. They could wave their white flag because they knew I would never back down, not for them, and not even death could change that. Somewhere along the line, I started to think about what I would say to them if I was given just one last chance. If I could gather enough heartbreak or love or sacrifice or whatever it took to get just one message across, what would I say? Throughout this entire process, I've written my feelings down at every moment, my wishes, my love, my denial, my anger. And as one final act of love, I'd planned to read these thoughts, even jarring and discombobulating and not even making sense. Because for me, that was true love. As bare and as naked as it could be, not laced in pretty words or dressed for the occasion, but written through bleary eyes at 2 a.m. with clenched fists, angry at this reality. My true final act of love was to continue on without them, for them. That dream to read aloud my love to them, to bring meaning through pain, was the latest blow in realizing you don't deserve it. And Kaylee and Maddie don't need it. Kaylee and Maddie have always known my love, and they would never ask me to prove it by further victimizing myself to a defendant who has shown no guilt, no remorse, no apprehension. They would say to me, "Why would you give the satisfaction of showing vulnerability now? You promised you would never back down." And for that clarity, I'm thankful. I won't stand here and give you what you want. I won't offer you tears. I won't offer you trembling. Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are: sociopath, psychopath, murderer. I will ask the questions that reverberate violently in my own head, so loudly that I can't think straight most any day. Some of these might be familiar, so sit up straight when I talk to you. How was your life right before you murdered my sisters? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your apartment? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this time. Why did you choose my sisters? Before making your move, did you approach my sisters? Detail what you were thinking and feeling. Before leaving their home, is there anything else you did? How does it feel to know the only thing you failed more miserably at than being a murderer is trying to be a rapper? Did you recently start shaving or manually pulling out your eyebrows? Why November 13th? Did you truly think your Amazon purchase was untraceable because you used a gift card? How do you find it enjoyable to stargaze with such a severe case of visual snow? Where is the murder weapon, the clothes you wore that night? What did you bring into the house with you? What was the second weapon you used on Kaylee? What were Kaylee's last words? Please describe in detail the level of anxiety you must have felt when you heard the Bearcat pull up to your family home on December 30th, 2022. Which do you regret more? Returning to the crime.
The hearing would give victims' families and the surviving roommates the opportunity to address Kohberger in a court. The Goncalves family did not hold back. Kaylee's 18-year-old sister, Olivia, called Kohberger a sociopath, a psychopath, and a murderer. She spoke of how the plea deal felt like a betrayal. The family expressed their belief that Kohberger facing life in prison was unfair because he would still get to speak, form relationships, and engage with the world, while their loved ones have been silenced forever. Madison Mogen's stepfather, Scott Laramie, chose not to address Kohberger directly. Instead, he focused on honoring Madison's life. This world was a better place with her in it, he said. As for the defendant, we will not waste the words, nor will we fall into hatred and bitterness. Evil has many faces, and we now know this, but evil does not deserve our time and attention. We are done being victims. We're taking back our lives. Xana Kernodle's family spoke of their pain and the void left by her absence. Ethan Chapin's family remembered his lighthearted, goofy presence and described their daily battle against the weight of darkness. Bethany Funk, one of the surviving roommates, carried a burden that few can imagine. The burden of survival when others did not survive, the weight of guilt that she had no reason to feel. Her statement, read by a friend, reveals the devastating psychological impact of that night. This is the voice of someone who lived through a horror that will never truly end.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be speaking on behalf of Bethany, and so, yeah, here it reads. My name is Bethany Funk, and I was roommates with Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. I not only lost some of my best friends, but I also lost a sister. Never in a million years would I have thought that something like this would have happened to my closest friends. I thought that we were going to wake up and go upstairs, see them and tell them how they had scared us and that they were going to tease us about how we are constantly scaredy cats. I make jokes about it as we would go to Taco Bell like always. But sadly, that is not what happened and what turned out to be my worst nightmare. When I first woke up that morning, I had no idea what happened. I woke up around 7 with a terrible toothache, so I called my dad, who is a dentist, and he asked what I should do. He told me to take Advil, so I did, and I went back to sleep. I was still out of it and still didn't know what happened. If I had known, I of course would have called 911 right away. I still carry so much regret and guilt for not knowing what had happened and not calling right away, even though I understand it wouldn't have changed anything, not even if the paramedics had been right outside the door. I was so frantic that morning and scared to death, not knowing what had happened. And when I made the 911 call, I couldn't even get out the words. And from then on, I don't remember a thing. It was like my brain wiped that whole memory. That was the worst day of my life. And I know it always will be. While I was still in shock, trying to process the fact that my friends were truly gone, I had been attacked by the public. I was grieving, numb, and unsure of what had happened was even real. And at the same time, I was getting flooded with death threats and hateful messages from people who did not know me at all or know the dynamic of our friendship. Social media made it so much worse, and strangers made up stories to entertain themselves. The media harassed not just me, but also my family. People showed up at our house. They called my phone, my parents' phones, other family members' phones, and we were chased while I was still trying to survive emotionally and grieve the loss of my friends. I hated and still hate that they are gone, but for some reason, I am still here and I got to live. I still think about this every day. Why me? Why did I get to live and not them? For the longest time, I could not even look at their families without feeling sick with guilt. I did not know what to say or what to do. I was terrified that my presence just made their pain worse. And I was still here when their kid, their siblings and their friends, their loved ones should have been here instead. After everything happened, I was afraid to go into my own backyard or alone in my house. I was scared that the person who did this would come for me next. I was always scared that the media would try to catch me at any moment of any day, even when I was just walking around my house. I made my parents close all the blinds during the day so no one could see me even in the slightest chance. I barely left the house, and when I did, I made sure I was never alone. I slept in my parents' room for almost a year. I made them double lock every door, set an alarm, and still check everywhere in the room just in case someone was hiding. And I still check my room every night before, and I double lock it. I have not slept through a single night since this happened. I constantly wake up in panics, terrified. Someone is breaking in, or someone is here to hurt me, or I'm about to lose someone else that I love. The fear never really leaves. For a long time, I could barely get out of bed, but one day I realized I have to live for them. They did not get the chance to keep living, But I do, and I will not take that for granted. So now every day I remind myself to live for them, and everything I do it with them in mind. I am still scared to go out in public, but I force myself to do things because I know that they would want me to keep living my life to the fullest. I am beyond blessed to still be here, and I refuse to take that for granted when they did not get a chance. Our house was not just a house, it was a home. It was where we laughed till we couldn't breathe, make meals, did crafts, binge watch reality shows, played games, and spent lazy days on the couch. It was movie nights, wine nights, morning debriefs, pranks, hot chocolate, cookies, and warmth. I will cherish those memories forever, and I will not let what happened erase how special our home was or how much those memories meant to me.
Then came one of the most emotional moments of the hearing. A friend tearfully read a statement on behalf of Bethany Funk, one of the surviving roommates. Funk's words captured the profound trauma of that night and its aftermath. I hated and still hate that they are gone, but for some reason, I'm still here and I got to live. I still think about this every day. Why me? Why did I get to live and not them? For the longest time, I could not even look at their families without feeling sick with guilt, she wrote. Funk described each of her friends, honoring who they were and insisting they deserve to be remembered in the highest way. Victims' relatives and University of Idaho students cried as the statement was read. Kohberger sat expressionless, listening intently. To truly understand the impact on the survivors, we need to hear from them in their own words. This body cam footage from Bethany Funk's interview with investigators just days after the murders shows the confusion, the trauma, the desperate attempt to make sense of the senseless. Her account would become crucial to understanding what happened that night.
She just knocked on my door, I think, during and asked if I had breakfast, you know.
Okay. Then what happened after that?
I just went to bed, and then I woke up and I was like half asleep, and I thought I saw like a firework or something, like it's a sparkle, like under my door. And then I thought I heard like something kind of fall. I was Murphy bark, but I thought people were just making like food, like, and Ethan was here or something and knocked something over because he's usually out in the kitchen upstairs.
Okay. So what do you mean by you heard a firework?
It sounded like a little firework, and then there was like a spark. I went by my like. I'm on the bottom floor.
Okay.
So it kind of looked like it came down there, but I don't know.
And so is Murphy your dog?
Kaylee's dog.
Kaylee's dog.
Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend's dog.
Okay. So you heard Murphy bark right after you heard what you thought was a firecracker?
Yeah, something like that. Like, he like, dogs bark at random things. And sometimes when he's happy, he'll bark.
Okay. It didn't sound like an angry growl or anything like that, just a bark?
I don't really know. I was like half asleep.
Okay.
It just sounded like a bark.
So, hear the firework, and I see a spark underneath the door. Murphy barks. What did you hear after that?
Pretty much nothing. That's it.
Okay. And you thought maybe someone was just in the kitchen at that point?
Yeah, just like someone accidentally fell into the table or something.
Okay.
And she was like, "This was the..."
Do you know about what time that might have been? Do you have any idea?
4 or something. I tried to call all of them at like 4:20ish. Around that time, no one was answering. I thought they just went to bed or something.
Okay. So what happened after that?
And she called me, and she said she thinks she saw someone. And I didn't know like really what to think of it, because sometimes we think we hear things a lot in the house, but it's usually just Ethan walking around. But she came, I told her to come in my room, and she could sleep with me, and we could lock the door and just stay in there just in case if there was anything, and that's all I knew. And then I fell back asleep.
You didn't hear anything else? Okay. No one else talking? Okay. Did you get to your room then? Okay. What time do you think she got in your room?
Like 4:20, 4:30.
Okay, about the same time.
Yeah.
Where's her room located to yours?
I'm the only one on the bottom floor, right by the front door.
Okay.
And then you go up the stairs, and Xana's room, Xana's room, the kitchen, and then upstairs is Madison Mogen's.
Okay. And where's the room?
Right by the kitchen.
Right by the kitchen? Okay. And did she say anything to you when she got into the room?
She said she thought she saw me, and I didn't know what to think of it. I was like, still half asleep, and I was like, I didn't know what to, I don't know. Okay. It didn't sound like I didn't hear screams, I didn't hear anything, but I didn't really know.
Okay. Okay. But obviously she didn't say anything more than she just saw someone.
Dylan Mortenson's statement was particularly anticipated because she was the one who saw the masked figure that night. For the first time publicly, she would share what this experience had done to her. Her words reveal the lasting psychological wounds inflicted not just on those who passed, but on those who survived.
Next is Dylan Mortenson. We're asking for some accommodations for Miss Mortenson and that she be allowed to sit in my seat.
Sure. Dylan, just take your time, all right?
Sorry. Thank you, Your Honor. What happened that night changed everything. Because of him, four beautiful, genuine, compassionate people were taken from this world for no reason. He didn't just take their lives. He took the light they carried into every room. He took away how they made everyone feel safe, loved, and full of joy. He took away the ability for me to tell them that I love them and that I'm so proud of them. He took away who they were becoming and the futures they were going to have. He took away birthdays, graduations, celebrations, and all the memories that we were supposed to make. All of it is gone. And all the people who loved them are just left to carry that weight forever. He didn't just take them from the world. He took them from me, my friends, my people who felt like my home, the people I looked up to and adored more than anyone. He took away my ability to trust the world around me. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. We had just celebrated my birthday at the end of September. I should have been figuring out who I was. I should have been having the college experience and starting to establish my future. Instead, I was forced to learn how to survive the unimaginable. I couldn't be alone. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? And then there are the panic attacks. The kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I can't think. I can't stop shaking. All I can do is scream because the emotional pain and the grief is too much to handle. My chest feels like it's caving in. Sometimes I drop to the floor with my heart racing, convinced something is very wrong. It's far beyond anxiety. It's my body reliving everything over and over again. My nervous system never got the message that it is over, and it won't let me forget what he did to them. People call me strong. They say I'm a survivor, but they don't see what my new reality looks like. They don't see the panic attacks, the hypervigilance, the exhaustion, the way I scan every room I enter, The way I flinch at sudden sounds. They don't know how heavy it is to carry so much pain and still be expected to keep going, and that's because of him. He stole parts of me I may never get back. He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive? He may have shattered parts of me, but I'm still putting myself back together. Piece by piece, I'm learning how to live in this new version of life. It is not easy. It hurts, but I'm still trying. Still trying, and I'm not trying just for me. I'm trying for them, my friends. About a year ago, I had a dream about them. I got to say goodbye. I told them I won't be able to see you again, so I need to tell you goodbye. They all kept asking why, and all I could say was, I can't tell you, but I have to. When I woke up, I felt shattered and heartbroken, but also strangely grateful. Like maybe in some way that dream gave us the goodbye we never got. Still, no dream can replace them, and no goodbye will ever feel finished. He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing. He tried to take everything from me. My friends, my safety, my identity, my future. He took their lives, but I will continue trying to be like them, to make them proud. Living is how I honor them. Speaking today is to help me find some sort of justice for them. And I will never let him take that from me. He may have taken so much from me, but he will never get to take my voice. He will never take the memories I had with them. He will never erase the love we shared, the laughs we had, or the way they made me feel seen and whole. Those things are mine. They are sacred, and he will never touch them. I get to feel sadness. I get to feel rage. I get to feel joy even when it's hard. I get to feel love even when it hurts. I get to live. And while I will still live with this pain, at least I get to live my life. He will stay here, empty, forgotten, and powerless.
Dylan, thank you so much for your courage.
Dylan Mortensen spoke directly about her trauma. Kohberger took away my ability to trust the world around me, she said through tears. What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break. I was barely 19 when he did this. I had to sleep in my mom's bed because I was too terrified to close my eyes. Terrified that if I blinked, someone might be there. I made escape plans everywhere I went. If something happens, how do I get out? What can I use to defend myself? Who can help? Then there were the panic attacks, the kind that slam into me like a tsunami out of nowhere. I can't breathe. I don't think. I can't stop shaking. Her statement captured what so many couldn't put into words. The way trauma shatters not just a moment, but an entire sense of safety and trust in the world. After all the statements were given, Kohberger was offered the opportunity to speak. The courtroom waited. Would he finally explain himself? Would he show any remorse? Would he give the families the answers they desperately sought? This was the moment everyone had been waiting for. After all the pain, all the statements, all the unanswered questions, Bryan Kohberger was asked if he wanted to address the court. The silence that followed said everything. This is the moment when he chose to remain silent, leaving families without the closure they needed.
All right, does the defense have evidence to present today?
No evidence.
All right. Does defense wish to make argument today?
Runner, we do not wish to make arguments. Mr. Kohberger, along with his legal team, is prepared for the court to enter judgment.
All right, Mr. Kohberger, you have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Well, please. All right, let me start this morning by acknowledging and thanking those that have come here today in support of their loved ones, and I appreciate your courage and your strength. And I hope that you are able to move on as best as possible. Thank counsel for the professionalism that they've exhibited throughout this case. It has been my great honor to preside in this case and to help bring, to the extent possible, some resolution and hopefully justice to this case. During the quiet morning hours of November 13, 2022, a faceless coward breached the tranquility of 6 beautiful young people and senselessly slaughtered them, 4 of them. Who committed this unspeakable evil was unknown for several weeks, but due to the killer's incompetence and outstanding police work by numerous local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, the person that slithered through that sliding glass door at 1122 King Road now stands before the world and this court unmasked. This unfathomable and senseless act of evil has caused immeasurable pain and loss. No parent should ever have to bury their child. This is the greatest tragedy that can be inflicted upon a person. Parents who took their children to college in a truck filled with moving boxes had to bring them home in hearses lined with coffins. The loss this killer inflicted was not just the death of these people's children, siblings, grandchildren, as we've heard today. It has ripped a hole in their soul, destroying a special part of their very essence. Any person who is a parent defines themselves foremost as such. It is their existence and purpose of being. And it has been stolen from these parents. None of us have experienced the loss these victims have in the unspeakable way that they have. And therefore, none of us can, nor should we, question the way in which they have handled their loss. Whether that be in private mourning, removed as far as possible from this media circus, or in front of a camera demanding retribution with the loudest megaphone. I've listened intently to the stories and pain that have been shared today, with great awe at the courage and resilience of the surviving family members of those wonderful children. I've listened also to the surviving roommates, both in person and through their friends. And I can't think of how, frankly, courageous they have been despite the hell that they have faced by uncaring people who have come up with all kinds of crazy theories about 2 kids simply being kids. The parents, siblings, and other family members who have spoken today are designated as victims in our legal system. But going forward, I hope that they can shed that label, as it gives too much power to the evil that condemned them to that role. They are and should be known as survivors, fighters, and foremost as witnesses to the tremendous lives of value and unbounded promise of these 4 young people. But those speaking today and those who did not speak, but who carry the same burden, this same loss, now carry forward the memories of these now perpetually young people, these forever children. These survivors carry the responsibility of ensuring that the voices of these children, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan, are never forgotten, and the positive impacts that they have had on so many lives are never minimized, and that the love they shared, the light that they shined onto others, is forever celebrated. As we sit here today, this case is ending, and we are now certain who committed these unspeakable acts of evil, but we don't know, and what we may never know is why. I share the desire expressed by others to understand the why, but upon reflection, it seems to me, and this is just my own opinion, that by continuing to focus on why, we continue to give Mr. Kohberger relevance. We give him agency and we give him power. The need to know what is inherently not understandable makes us dependent upon the defendant to provide us with a reason, and that gives him the spotlight, the attention, and the power he appears to crave. Yet even if I could force him to speak, which legally I cannot, how could anyone ever be assured that what he speaks is the truth? Do we really believe, after all of this, he's capable of speaking the truth or of giving up something of himself to help the very people whose lives he destroyed? Rather, I suspect the so-called reason would be dished out in enticing, self-serving, and aggrandizing, untruthful bits, leaving people wanting more information, more insight, and thus enhancing even further the power he seeks to hold. Even if we could get truthful insight into his why, I suspect it would not in any way quench one's thirst for actually understanding why in the first instance.
Now it's been Mogen, Maddie Mogen's father.
I'm Benjamin Mogen. I'm Maddie's dad. And first I just want to say thanks to all the people that helped bring this all to a close. I know it's not the resolution that everyone, wanted, but I think that that everyone worked so hard, and we really appreciate all their efforts. It was such a hard thing to go through for everybody. Maddie was my only child that I ever had. She's the only great thing I ever really did, and the only thing I was really ever proud of. And I thought we would have the rest of our lives together to be together and to know each other, and I took for granted at the time, she was in college, and I thought, oh, well, we'll have the rest of our lives to do all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and she was just about done. She actually earned all of her credits for her college degree, and Karen and Scotty and I got to go and get her diploma that she actually earned, and she served every bit of that. And but I thought that was going to be just the beginning of a long life together, and we never got that. Karen and Scotty did such a great job raising her after Karen and I split up, and I'm so thankful for Scotty Scotty and the role that he played in her life when I wasn't able to. But we got to spend a lot of great times together, Maddie and I. She was my favorite person to go to a concert with. We got to see some fun shows together, and I told her if there's ever a show that you want to go to, you let me know, and I'll get you tickets for you and your friend, or if we want to go together, we'll make it happen. And my favorite memory with her was when the Mac Miller show sold out here in Spokane, and everyone wanted tickets, no one could get them, and on the last day before the show, they did a radio thing, and I got 4 meet and greet tickets for Maddie and her friends, and me to go and see the show, and that was her favorite artist at the time, was Mac Miller, and he's gone now too, and my little cousin Zach drove us all there that night, and he's gone too, tragically, and anyway, the last thing that she ever wrote to me was this Father's Day card, and I'm so glad I still have it. I'm just going to read what she said. It says, "Happy Father's Day. I hope you have the best day. I can't wait till we can hang out again soon. I'll be in Coeur d'Alene 6:24 to 7:4. Hopefully we can find a time then. I love your birthday card that you sent me, by the way. Maybe we can see a concert sometime soon. I'd love to see the gorge when it's not so smoky out. I hope you're doing well. I'm proud of how far you've come. Thank you for always encouraging me to do my best. Love you lots and lots. Love, Maddie Mae." She did encourage me to not just to do my best, but to live on. I went through a lot of issues with addiction and with substance abuse, and when I wasn't wanting to live anymore, she was what would keep me from just not caring anymore, and knowing that she was out there and that she was just such a beautiful person kept me alive a lot of rough moments, and I'm so glad that she was able to meet Jake. He was the only one that I actually ever got to take her to the gorge. They went and saw Watershed together, and they had a heck of a time. I'm glad she got to. That's a really special place for me, and she always wanted to work out there with me in the summer sometime. She never got to, but at least she got to see it once with Jake. He was such a great guy. He is such a great guy, and I really wanted to see what a future with them would have looked like. I'll never be able to replace her. I wrote a bunch of stuff. I just don't know what to say right now. I just miss her so much, and I just love her more than anything. And this shouldn't have happened. And a death sentence is one thing. When it's going to happen, and it's going to be all gentle and stuff. But life without parole, with a building full of people that all just want you to not be around anymore, and winking at every morning, not knowing if that's the day they're going to pull your card. I mean, it's not a very nice sentence either. So, I don't know. I just love you, Maddie, and I wish you were still here.
Kohberger looked at the judge and said, "I respectfully decline." The judge then delivered the sentence. He acknowledged that Kohberger's motive may never be known. Even if I could force him to speak, which legally I cannot, how could anyone ever be assured that what he speaks is the truth? the judge asked. He noted that now was the time to end Kohberger's 15 minutes of fame. Kohberger was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole on the 4 first-degree murder counts and a maximum penalty of 10 years on the burglary count. He was also ordered to pay $270,000 in fines and civil penalties. The families were crying. The surviving roommates were crying. Kohberger remained expressionless. Even with Kohberger's guilty plea and sentencing, crucial questions remain unanswered. Why did he target this specific house? Investigators have stated repeatedly that they found no connection between Kohberger and any of the 4 victims or the 2 survivors. Moscow police stated, "Trust us, we wanted that to be the case. We've looked for a link, and we have not found one." Idaho State Police added, "We got every resource possible, and we worked that tirelessly. But we have never to this date found a single connection between him and any of the 4 victims or the 2 survivors." So why them? Why that house? The cell phone data shows Kohberger had been in the area at least 23 times before the murders, suggesting surveillance and planning. But what drew him there in the first place? Some investigators theorize that Kohberger, as a criminology student, may have wanted to see if he could get away with the perfect crime. The murder weapon has never been recovered. Despite extensive searches, the Ka-Bar-style knife used in the attacks was never found. Where did Kohberger dispose of it? Did he destroy it? Did he hide it somewhere it may never be discovered? How did he take 4 lives, some of whom were physically large and capable of fighting back, seemingly by himself? Ethan Chapin was 6'4". How did one person overpower him and 3 others in quick succession? Documents reveal that the attacks were so violent some victims were initially unrecognizable, but Kohberger managed this alone and escaped without leaving more than a single DNA sample on the knife sheath. Why did he spare the 2 surviving roommates? Dylan Mortensen saw him, yet he walked past her and left. Was it because he was exhausted? Because he felt he'd been in the house too long? Because she wasn't part of his plan? Only Kohberger knows. The lack of a clear motive is perhaps the most frustrating aspect for everyone involved. Prosecutors indicated there was no evidence Kohberger had a history of violence or a criminal record before he decided to murder these students. This wasn't someone with a pattern of escalating behavior. This was a planned, deliberate attack with no apparent trigger. Bryan Kohberger is now serving his sentence at the Idaho Maximum Security Institution. Reports indicate that he is having a difficult time in prison. In August 2025, it was reported that Kohberger complained to guards about being taunted by fellow inmates. According to reports, inmates are tormenting him through the vents in his cell, kicking doors, and what Kohberger considers torture. Idaho Department of Corrections confirmed that Kohberger has made complaints, but noted that incarcerated individuals commonly communicate with each other in prison. A gag order that had been in place throughout most of the case was lifted by the judge on July 17, 2025. This allowed law enforcement and prosecutors to finally speak publicly about the case. On July 23rd, the day of sentencing, Moscow police released over 300 pages of documents detailing their investigation. These documents revealed new details about the crime scene, Kohberger's behavior, and the extensive investigative work that went into identifying him. However, many documents remained sealed. The judge stated that unsealing all documents would take time and that he would carefully review what could be made public. It's unclear whether the public will ever have access to all the evidence collected in this case. The victims' families have worked to honor their loved ones' memories. The Ethan Chapin Foundation was established to honor his love of life, people, and new adventures by providing scholarships that enable others to follow their dreams. The Made with Kindness Foundation honors the legacies of Madison, Kaylee, and Xana through scholarships, wellness support, and empowerment initiatives. The foundation's mission is to inspire and uplift the next generation, turning dreams into realities in a world that values compassion and community. Moscow, Idaho, continues to heal from the trauma that forever changed the small college town. The house on King Road, where the murders occurred, has been demolished. The University of Idaho implemented additional security measures and expanded mental health resources for students. The Bryan Kohberger case forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about human nature. How can someone with no history of violence, someone studying criminal justice and pursuing an advanced degree, commit such calculated and brutal murders? How can someone stalk victims for months, plan every detail, and then execute an attack with such precision and cruelty? These questions challenge our understanding of criminal behavior and the limits of prediction and prevention. Even trained law enforcement professionals who encountered Kohberger before the murders saw nothing that raised alarm. He was awkward, yes, but not threatening. He was odd, certainly, but not dangerous. Until he was. The case also highlights the enduring trauma experienced by survivors and families of victims. Bethany Funk's survivor's guilt, Dylan Mortensen's shattered sense of safety, the family's grief that will never fully heal. These are the real and lasting consequences of Kohberger's actions. For young people with bright futures were stolen from this world. 2 roommates will carry the psychological scars forever. Parents, siblings, friends, and an entire community were forever changed. And perhaps most frustratingly, we may never understand why. Bryan Kohberger has exercised his right to remain silent. He has offered no explanation, no remorse, no insight into his motivations. The families are left with their grief and their questions. The public is left wondering what signs were missed, what could have been done differently, whether this could happen again. Justice has been served in the legal sense. Bryan Kohberger will spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. But for the families who lost their children, for the roommates who survived but will never be the same, for the community that was shattered, true closure may never come. Because closure requires understanding, and understanding requires answers that Kohberger has refused to provide. The story of Bryan Kohberger and the murders of Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin is a reminder that evil can wear an ordinary face. It can sit in a classroom, work toward a degree, blend into everyday life. And when it strikes, it leaves devastation that extends far beyond the immediate victims. We remember Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan not for how they passed, but for how they lived. We honor their memories by demanding truth, seeking justice, and working to prevent such tragedies from happening again. And we keep asking questions, even when the answers may never come, because that's what they deserve. This is the story of the Bryan Kohberger case, a tragedy that shook America, a mystery that may never be fully solved, and a reminder of the fragility of safety and the permanence of loss. If you found this coverage informative and want to stay updated on cases like this one, please subscribe to Dark Trail Files. We are committed to bringing you thorough, factual coverage of true crime cases while honoring the memories of victims and respecting the pain of families. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, the pursuit of truth never ends.